Yo, welcome back to another Silence the Shame podcast. It's your girl, Life, and we are excited that you came back to join us for another cool conversation around mental health. You know I got to give homage to the originals, my homie Free, and the founder and CEO of Silence the Shame, Shanti Das. We would also like to give a special thanks to the NFL Players Association for giving us this opportunity to even talk to the players. Thank you, guys. And so today we're talking with a football player. You know it's football season, so we had to bring the people out to talk about what's really going on and off the field. And so today he goes by EO, but we know him as Evan Oglesby. So welcome to the podcast, Evan. How are you?
Man, I'm wonderful. Thank you for this opportunity. It's exciting, and I wish that we had more platforms out here to kind of highlight some of the issues that's transitioning in the world of sports.
I love that. Yes, we do. We need more platforms, and we need more people like you who are willing to really have this conversation that many of us don't usually have with regular individuals, and more so that individuals that are in the spotlight. So we appreciate you for coming to us. So we're going to get right into it. Evan, tell us a little bit of where you come from, what you're here doing today, and like who you played for in the NFL.
Born and raised in Toccoa, Georgia.
Okay.
Little small town up in Northeast. Attended the University of North Alabama, Division II program. Was able to reach a dream. Played 6 years in the NFL. Cool. Went undrafted free agent to the Buffalo Bills. Played for the Baltimore Ravens most of my career.
Okay.
Played a little bit with Dallas and ended up in Miami.
So you never was at the Saints? That was
we went through New Orleans.
Oh, we went through New Orleans. I'm sorry, I'm Who Dat Nation. Yeah. Excuse us if there's any Falcons fans out there. But all right, well, that's cool. You said a few things that sort of gives me a couple of questions before we dive into around our conversation about how you come into playing or using your platform to talk about mental health. You said you from a small area in Northeast Georgia?
Yes.
Rural area?
Yes.
And you went to a D2 school?
Yes.
That's not the traditional route of someone who goes on and plays 6 years in the NFL. So tell us a little bit of how that hard work and dedication got you to the NFL, coming from a rural area, not having many spotlights on individuals playing for a school in a rural, small town Georgia area, and then going to D2. You don't get a lot of individuals. You get a lot of D2 players who go to the NFL, but it's not your normal route of what young people think Correct. It is how to get to the NFL. So tell us how coming from a small community, coming from a D2 school, it took a little more work for you to get to the NFL.
Well, it took a lot of more work, actually.
Cool.
Back when I was coming up, if you didn't have the size, if you wasn't 6'2", 215, a lot of D1 schools wasn't even looking at you. I was one of those kids that growing up didn't have a dad, and I was always yearning to learn from someone older than me. Yeah. So I had some cousins early on, but then my performance outperformed them once we got older. So It was like I was always had this hunger to prove that I'm the best. So that came a worth ethic that I was always out trying to better myself. I used to get in trouble a lot because I used to play with the older kids.
Yeah.
And then, that saying when the street lights come on, you got to come home. But I hadn't beaten the guy yet. So I'm going to stay out here to the park till I actually beat him before I come home. So just having that mindset that I'm always trying to learn and get that advantage over people, I think that helped my development early on, which gave me those opportunities coming from a small, high school. North Alabama was the only option for me to actually get out of Toccoa.
Okay.
I was one of those kids that thought I was going to play basketball in college. And I know a lot of kids now just put one egg in a basket and think that that's the way they're going to ride. I'm glad that I didn't. I put both of them in football and basketball.
Cool.
And my basketball offers never came. So signing day had passed and all that, and North Alabama was still on the table of wanting me to come and attend, and they was going to allow me to play football and basketball.
Huh.
So that was kind of my only option of getting out of Toccoa, to be honest.
Cool.
And yeah, that was a totally different world once I went to North Alabama.
We're gonna talk about that in a second. So it seems like you've always been like the underdog. You've always had to fight against and fight through. What did that do for your mental? What did that do for your mental health? What did that do to you as an individual to know that in life I'm always gonna have to fight for my place? That's many of our young people right now. That's many of our black men. That's many of us in the world today feeling like we have to fight and always fight for our place in life. What does that do to you as a player, let alone as an individual, and then as a young black man in this space in America? Like always having to fight. What does that do to your mental health?
Well, I guess you got to understand the game. And so I was one of those kids that had a burning desire to be successful. Didn't know what it was going to be in, but I knew I was going to be successful at something.
Okay.
Sports was my outlet. And I guess it was funny because up until I went to college, I didn't understand. I was only comfortable with being a good player. I didn't want to be the best. And a lot of our athletes, we just comfortable with being good. We don't want to take that next step or that extra mile of trying to be the best at everything.
Why?
It's just comfortable, man.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable space. And a lot of our athletes, we fall into it. As long as I'm better than you, and you, I don't need to work that hard. And you kind of see that a lot in our high school students now when they're in a program that don't have as many 3-4-star athletes. They just coasting away just because they better than their peers. They don't put that extra effort into trying to be the best.
And I guess that puts me in a different place because you don't hear that a lot. You hear everybody trying to be number one or trying to be the GOAT or trying to be, the shining star on the team. And so for many other players on the team, many of them are not even looking for that shining star because a lot comes with that shining star. A lot comes with that number one seat in the field, on the field or in the locker room. And so coasting through and this being an outlet for you, tell us more a little bit about that. An outlet for what? What was going on that you utilized sports to get away from? Or was this your coping skill for something that was happening, or was this just what you knew because it was the environment that you grew up in?
Well, again, by me not having a father, I used to always hear about how good my dad was. And I guess one of my goals was to erase every goal or every record that he had. I wanted to delete it.
So you were not only after the older gentleman in the neighborhood, you were after the myth of, are you going to be as good as your father, or are you your father? And so not having him around and you still hearing that he was this great guy or he did these great things, did that make you go harder on the field?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
It turned into anger, because I got tired of people
comparing
us, and he wasn't around at the time. And I'm in my hometown where there's family members all over the place. You look just like your dad, and I'm like, man, this man did nothing for me, So that was like my gasoline that fueled like my preparation to everything. I just wanted to be the best. So yeah, that was basically.
So now you made it. Now you made your own name, right?
Oh yeah.
And you're out of rural Georgia, and now you're in North Alabama. Something still different for you because you're used to home and you're used to the people around you at home and having that support. Going away to school, was that challenging for you, or did you utilize sports to get through those challenging times as well?
I definitely utilize sports. Growing up in my hometown, I used to see standout athletes all the time be a star in the high school performance, but why they don't go to college. Then I started following how they navigated outside of school. They was always on the block hanging out. They was over there drinking, doing everything that you're not supposed to do.
Right.
So that kind of gave me a guideline of what not to do. Because if
cool.
those guys did it and didn't work out for them, okay, let me try something different.
The top players.
Yes.
The top player, like players. You thought was going to go D1. Yeah. I'm going to see him on TV. Like, that's who I'm looking for. And the next year, you're seeing him back in the neighborhood.
Back in the neighborhood.
And so for you, North Alabama was not to get back in the neighborhood. That was my way not to do what the other players did.
I always said if I ever leave the court, I'm never coming back.
Did you go back?
I didn't go back because I had to. I went back because I wanted to.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But yeah, we had a gentleman that went Division I, and that was like, oh my God, okay, I'm gonna learn everything. When he come back home, I'm gonna learn everything from him. So he came home Christmas, but he didn't leave.
Uh-oh.
So I'm like, what happened?
It's the longest break you've seen in a while, right?
So yeah, that was you know, I'm not gonna put him on blast, but he was one of the guys that I made sure when I went to college, my whole first semester, I didn't go to one party. Not one, because I didn't want to.
He still taught you something, though.
Oh, yeah. I
He
mean,
still
like
taught
I
you
said,
something.
a lot of my decisions I made is off other people's failures.
Many people don't realize the stress of going to play college sports, let alone going away to go to college. Like leaving home in that comfort zone, like you said, you were content, you were comfortable in Northeast Georgia. You were really cool with, all right, I'm the top guy here and I'm okay. But you did see I didn't want to be him. Going away and being away from family and playing a sport and having the understanding that I didn't want to be them, was that an even more challenge and stress on you for performance-wise, not only on the field, but off the field? So academically, was that challenging for you at North Alabama? And how did that make you a resilient player, person, and individual?
University of North Alabama kind of was like a platform. Again, I was away from my mom, away from the family. I had to really stick to my raising. I remember a lot of situations that came about. Friends want me to try different things, and you know, it was amazing for me to be able to make the right decision without my mom presence. You know, and I remember calling her and like, Mama, you was right about a lot of this stuff. You know, like, you know, so it was refreshing for me to be able to make those decisions without her. So that what gave me like my little man power to be like, I could do this on my own, you know? So that kind of shaped who I was as a person in college, of what I will and won't do. And it kind of, again, that fear from doing something that I get kicked out of school and go back to Toccoa. Yeah. That kept me on that straight and narrow.
Shout out to Mom for helping him realize some things early on in life, like having that person in your life to be able to, because a lot of us don't listen to Mom. A lot of us think, oh, Mom is just trying to tell me what to do. But when you leave home, you start realizing what Mom was telling me at home is really going to hit hard now when I'm not at home. And so with Mom helping you manage that piece, how did you manage your wellness? What did you do to manage wellness away from Mom? Because Mom, you hear Mom's voice in your head, but you're there on the ground having to do the work. So what did you really do to manage your wellness when you saw all of your friends going to the parties? Because I'm sure it was hard. I'm sure you wanted to party. I'm sure they came back talking about all the honeys and all the things they did at the party, but you still had to keep your focus. How did you manage your wellness and manage yourself during that time?
Well, you know, all of those invites come in high school, you know, middle school. You get invited to go to these parties. And, you know, kudos to my mom. She would never let me go, you know. And I remember after I graduated high school, it was that little break before you report for summer camp. And she actually allowed me to go to a little party. And at that party, I saw things that I shouldn't be a part of. Yeah. So a lot of that, and I actually left too. Time I saw what was going on, I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here.
It's not for me.
I'm not about to get kicked, get arrested or something and not be able to leave Toccoa. And so when I was approached with those opportunities in college, I already knew what it was about. I used to hear locker room talk, what goes on there. I'm like, nah, you know, let me get adjusted to college life first. Let me make sure my grades, I had a scholarship, and then I had an extra scholarship. If I remain a 3.0 GPA, I can keep that on the side away from the academic.
You had a different drive.
Oh, yeah, totally different drive.
And you had things to lose.
Yes.
Many players think because they're the star player or because they come from, you know, a family with I would say with privilege, that they don't have anything to lose. And so they go in as they don't have anything to lose. But for you, you had those in the back of your head. Like, I cannot go back home. I do not want to be those older individuals that I see back in the community. And I don't want to lose the funding that's paying for my college, because I also know how this is helping my family, my mom, you know what I'm saying, for me to be out of that small community. And so having that in the back of your head and knowing that I still got to top perform, what happens next? Like, okay, you stayed away from them. You stayed away from all of the things that will pull away the privileges that you you've worked so hard to get. What does that do to you? How does that make you feel empowered or stronger or resilient? Because now you've put up a barrier that many of us did not do in college. Like, it was a party time for many of us in college. But now you've built these blocks and put things in place so that you have this narrow vision of life for you, EO. This is your path, right? And so coming out of North Alabama, now you're heading into how did you get out of North Alabama? When did you get out of North Alabama? And how did your dedication to your life help you get into the NFL?
Started as a freshman, came in North Alabama, and I remember calling my mom like, Mama, they suck. I want to come home.
Oh,
this
wow.
program is horrible. And, Mama like, you ain't coming home. You better make it work for
you.
you.
Yeah,
you got to figure it out. So
play for the Bad News Bears. This is what we're doing.
Yes. So went and performed my freshman season, had a standout year. We had a new coaching change that following spring.
Oh, wow.
And I was on partial scholarship the season before, but once he came and saw my spring performance, that's when he put me on full scholarship. So
still that drive. Still that go-getter.
Still that drive, yeah.
That's it.
And then we had a coach that came in my life, was that guy that I've been needing my whole life. He's the guy, Coach Brian John Marie.
Okay.
He was the gentleman that came in and told me that I was comfortable with being a good player.
And that changed your mindset.
He said, you don't want to be great. He came into me hard. And, it was funny because the team, he cussed us out the first practice that he got
coaches.
hired.
Yeah.
And so my teammates is like, if you're going to let them talk to, because I was one of the young leaders of the defense at the time. And I'm like, I'm going to meet this coach after practice. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to put him in place. You don't come to practice.
You're coming into our house.
Yeah. You don't talk to us like that. And when I went into his office, he cussed me out again. And he actually told me some things that changed my life. And to this day, I thank him. And it's we always want to be the best, but we don't put that effort into being the best.
How was that hard conversation? Because you went in thinking you was going to change him, and he changed you.
He changed me. I went back in the locker room, and I'm like, guys, I think we might need to fall in line with this.
I think y'all need to follow my lead and listen up to this new coach, right? And so having that hard, nobody really came at you before that.
Never.
What I mean by come at you, like really talk to you at a level that took you out of that comfort zone. So that was your first encounter outside of mom. I'm sure mom had those hard conversations. Your aunts, family members had those conversations. But hearing it from someone that wasn't your family member, but really saw something different in you, what did that do? What did that click in you on a different drive level? So now you've kicked it up to drive 2 because you've been in coast mode on drive 1. Now you're kicking it up. What did that conversation do with you? Because this is the hard conversation that we're about to have with our audience about having the hard conversations, not just about mental health, but in life. And so that hard conversation from Coach Bryant, was his name?
Brian John Marie.
John Marie. What was that like for you?
I had my confidence in myself and my beliefs that I was that guy. But for someone else to see it in me kind of gave me that pat on the back or that confidence that, I could do this, And he not only told me the possibilities, but he showed me what I needed to do. And so that kind of gave me a clear path on how I need to separate myself from everybody. If you say you that guy, prove it. Numbers don't lie. So I actually had a different approach on how I approach my classrooms. There was a thing that I was just getting by in the classrooms. It changed how I approach. I was just only studying to pass. Yeah. Then I started studying to make A's. It's a totally different approach. Totally different approach. And so that carried on to everything, even on the field. I wanted to be the best. I was the first one on the field. I was the last one to leave. When all my friends is out partying, I'm at the field running, doing things that's going to help my performance. And I used to get picked on for that, man. In college, like, oh, man, don't even invite him. He ain't going to come. And it's funny that I go back to my alumni now to do a lot of the homecoming events. And the alumni that comes back, they were like, man, we already knew you was going to make it because you was different.
You was different.
You was different.
You had built a resilience in you.
Yeah.
You had built a different drive in you that outside distractions didn't distract you.
Yeah.
And now Coach Bryant, really pushed you to a different level. How did you build your resilience? Talk to our listeners about building resiliency so that you don't get distracted of things that are trying to take you off of the path that you're living.
My mom did a great job. We had everything we needed. but I didn't have everything I wanted.
Right.
You know, and that right there, I guess, gave me a hunger that when I get older, I'm gonna be able to live the life I want.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's where my resilience came from. I saw how my grandmother struggled, and saw how my mom sacrificed, and it was like, you know, I want to be able to do something to give back to them,
Right.
you know, to show them my appreciation. And so that was kind of like my drive, my guideline, my discipline is not disappointing my family, to be honest.
Sacrificing your fun time.
Yeah. And then, you know, I, you know, was at that time, the only male, because I was raised by all women, had a younger brother. So it was like I was the man of the house early, so I can't, you know, be that kid that, you know, without a father end up in jail, and then, you know, now my house don't have a stable backbone in the family. So I kind of took that early on that I was going to be the one that really helped put our family in a good place in society.
Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Kudos to mom. Kudos for you having that understanding that if I fall, the domino effect and what happens behind me or what happens to my family, my village.
I call it my line pride.
Your line pride.
Yes.
Tell us about your line pride.
It's you know, the healthiest line in the jungle has a big pride that supports. And so it's my job to protect and create opportunities and help build, help teach, you know, so our pride just continue to grow. And then we got a strong pride too. My Oglesby's run deep.
The Oglesbys, y'all better watch out. EO and the tribe are coming through. Now you're working with young people, right? And so you've built this resiliency and you've gone through your 6 NFL years career, and now you are back in the community. And so through your 6 years, I'm sure you had some stats that we can talk about, and some great years and some tough years and some tough times. Did those tough times teach you something different in NFL that has now led you to live a different life path?
Yes, the NFL was very challenging. I came through undrafted. It wasn't like I was the golden boy that got to be able to, your whole world change overnight, being a first-round draft pick. And so it was I guess all through my life, usually the best player is going to be out there playing. And didn't understand that until I went to the NFL. It's not about who the best, it's who they like.
That's right.
And so for me, it kind of took away from me the funness of football because you out here sacrificing, you out here suffering, you still doing your, you know, everybody that's out here one of the, you know, the top of their school, being able to compete out here. But it ain't about who the best out here. It's about who they chose and, you know, when money's in place. So it was tough for me not to be able to play as many plays in the game.
So you've made it to it. Like what everybody whatever young athlete dreams of is making it to that professional league. But it's not as sweet as you think it of. So tell us how hard that was, though. Now you've made it so you've pushed yourself from high school to college. Like you are the underdog, and I've finally made it to the platform that I've talked about all my life, and now I'm on the sideline.
When I got the call to come to Buffalo for an undrafted free agent contract, I was 5th on the depth chart. You have the starters, and you know each plays are scripted. You got pass scale, you got live plays, you got blitz period, and so but it's a time limit on all those. So you might have 12 plays of blitz, 12 plays of 7-on-7. You know,
right. He's talking some language that I know football, but he has gone in depth. And so I know our audience who loves football is going to understand exactly. But what you're saying is there's like a hierarchy. You have your top players, and then if something happens to them, there's another set.
Yes.
You were 5th down from the top.
5th from the top. And so when you practicing, the starters is going to get the bulk of those plays. So they might get 4.
Okay.
And then second string might get 3.
Okay.
Third string might get 3. Fourth string. So you know when it gets to the 5th string, it ain't many reps left in that period.
Oh, right.
So you might be out there 1 or 2 plays.
And that's it.
And that's it. Whistle blows, you go to another station. And so my rookie season was just that. I'm out there an hour and 45 minutes, but I only probably get 6, 7 live plays to get noticed.
Which equals to how many minutes? Possibly.
Maybe 1.
Maybe 1. Because you have to think,
An NFL play is only about 7, 8 seconds. if you look at it, it's more waiting in
Yeah.
football than
Yeah.
actual playing. So I didn't get a lot of reps as a undrafted free agent in Buffalo. So how I differentiated myself was a lot of those little things you talk about, being the first one on the field, being the last one to leave. Every time there was a scout team rep, I ran out there. It might have been a lineman that went down and they needed. I just ran out there just to get the coach to call my name
Yeah.
to go back to the sideline. You had to do certain things to
So
kind
now
of keep
he's knowing my name.
Yeah, know my name. And then when I do get one of those 7 reps, I make a play.
Yeah.
And I remember a veteran came up to me and was like, your name is starting to be called in the meeting room. So keep it up, young blood. And he was like, all you got to do is make 1 play a day. And I was like, just one?
Just one.
Oh, man, that's easy. 1 play? So that was my mental every day doing that training camp. I just need to make 1 play today. Just one.
And that's in life. You just need to make one win
just
in
one
life.
play.
Just one. We're going after it. So many of our young people watch our platform and they think they have to win in everything or they have to go after everything. What you're telling us right now is just one chance.
Yeah.
Just keep getting your name out there. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep being resilient. Keep having that drive. And one day you're going to get the opportunity to really build a platform. So you've talked to us about your path in life and how that has built your resilience and how to build resilience because you need that in going through life. And so you talked about your mental toughness on the field. What's your mental toughness just off the field and in life? How are you using that same built resilience to be able to get through challenges in life that you've had off the field? Because we've talked a lot about on the field, and that's not life in itself, and that's not where you are today. So how do you use what you have built in your resiliency throughout life now?
Well, the same game of football is the same game of life. We all got to win the ball game. And a lot of the ingredients it takes to win in football is the same ingredients it takes to win in life.
Okay.
So I take that same approach with everything I try to do is win. And if it doesn't go my way, there's an old saying, find a way to win. So, I don't like taking no's for answers. So I will figure out a way to get me a yes. And so that right there has kind of carried over off the field about just not giving up, finding a way to win, get what you need. I'm in the nonprofits, and I get no's all the time. Or, oh yeah, I'll help you. Here's my card. And then when you call them, I ain't got the time. Or hit me up in the next quarter. It's always an excuse. So that doesn't stop me. I figured out a way to raise funds through my summer camps, and things like that, and then be able to operate. Not where I want to, but again, one day I'm gonna get that right dad or that right company that's gonna see what we offer and how we provide and give back. And it's just a constant grind and I never would have probably been like this if I hadn't have played sports.
Even with the raising of your mom and building that resilience as a young child, sports taught you something different.
Yeah.
And it gave you a different outlook on life. How do you instill that in the young people that you're working with through your nonprofit? Tell us a bit about your nonprofit and how you're working with young people now and helping them to build resilience through sports as well as through life.
Well, the reason why I like sports is because just because you lose today don't mean you lose tomorrow. And so a lot of kids just want to win now. And sports teaches you a lot of things of why did you lose? Did you figure that part out? And if you correct that mistake, then you put yourself in a position so you don't have those mistakes anymore. And so that carries over into life. And what I try to teach the youth is let's figure out what our weaknesses are. Do you know what your weaknesses is?
Right.
Because that's what's going to be attacked once you get out there and start performing. And my foundation is the Evan Oglesby Foundation, is pretty much education and opportunity. A lot of our youth don't know what they don't know.
That's cool.
And what we try to do is we give scholarships to graduating seniors. But in the process, we educate our kids on possibilities outside of sports. Yeah, we want to use sports because that's a free way to get your education paid for.
Right.
But I want you to be able to use this football scholarship to be that doctor. I need you to use this volleyball scholarship to be that dentist. Now we'll be able to not make excuses of funding going off to that next level or trying to make a career for yourself.
how do you teach them to shift that focus? That control what you can control, but you know what I'm saying, let go of what's out of your control, but still stay focused, still have that, you know what I'm saying, tough skin on the outside, but knowing inside it may be a turmoil. Like, how are you teaching that through what type of opportunities?
I asked them, what do they want to do with their life? Where you see yourself at? What is your dreams? And then my next question is, how bad do you want to get there?
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody say they want to be successful, but they're not locked in mentally on what all comes with that.
Right.
So what I try to do is I call it chewing gum. I say, I give you some gum to chew on, you know, so you could think about everything that you're doing, every move, is it going to hurt or help you? And a lot of times by having ambition, I tell them that's that bumper like in the bowling alley. And when you're introduced to an opportunity or an incident when you with your peers, if you have that ambition, that bumper is going to stop you from going in the gutter. You're going to be like, oh, I can't do this. Hold on. This is going to affect me from accomplishing my goal, you know? So I try to get kids to focus on that, you know, being able to make those hard decisions with their peers, because that's the ones that really derail your dreams.
That's to derail your dreams and also derails you. So you're helping them to build resiliency. You've got to be that resilient person. Otherwise, you're going to fall in the gutter. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to fall off track. Otherwise, you'll have these moments in life where it's not clear. But if you have those bumpers and you're chewing on that gum, as you say, then you don't have those. You're very focused and you understand what happens if you stop chewing the gum or if you let go of those bumpers in life. And so through the EO Foundation, the Evan Oglesby Foundation, you focus on academics, health, and wellness through mentoring and leadership. Talk to us about the foundation and how we can partner with you, or how others can reach out and bring those big checks.
Hey, we need them.
To the EO Foundation. So tell us what you're doing and tell how can others connect to you through the foundation.
Well, it started in 2008. Okay. Post-career, I went back to my hometown, opened up a youth center.
Went back?
Yes, I went back. I went back by choice. I wanted to help those kids that grew up like I did.
Perfect.
So built it there, started the after-school program. And since I existed, we've probably given over 50 scholarships to graduating seniors. We've gotten kids in probably about 20 different colleges.
Really cool.
In the process. We got a student that came through the program. She works with John Ossoff at the White House. We just had a guy, AJ, just graduated from the University of West Point.
That's cool.
So being able to go back to my hometown and inspire those individuals to think and dream big, you know, that was like my reasoning to exist, really. That was my help to get out of that depression that I had coming out of the NFL. So being able to help other kids accomplish and reach their goals, that's my purpose right there now.
You spoke on it, and I'm going to speak back on it. So you went back home, but you didn't go back home to the corner. You went back home to start something, to change your community, to change the climate. But you said you were depressed when you went back home. Is it because you were a star player, or because you had left and now you've had to come back? Or was it you leaving the NFL and sort of the trajectory that you thought the NFL would take you?
Well, I didn't leave the NFL. The NFL left me.
Talk to us.
And here I am, 28 years old, at the height of my career, biggest I've ever been, strongest, fastest I've ever been. I know the game of football. And now the NFL said, we're going to go a different direction. And so that your whole life, that's what you've been grinding for.
Right.
And for that door to close on you, I mean, it's a totally different world.
Had you prepared another door? Because for many of us, we're so stuck on a career path that we don't think that it can be anything different for us. And so when that changed you, had you thought about what would I do? Maybe down the years, what would I do after NFL? But now you're 28 and you have to think about what I'll do right now. Had you prepared for that moment?
At that time, the NFL demanded so much of your time. And especially for me, every year I'm fighting for my job. So I can't venture outside and work on something else. You know, I have to be 100% locked in trying to make this 53-man roster every season.
Right.
So, yeah, I was unprepared once that hit. It was like, what do I do? Graduated with a degree, but I forgot all that stuff. Like, you know, I'm trying to go back and see about reviewing some of these things. I like, I don't know nothing about this stuff.
Yeah.
It was a totally different world transitioning back.
And so
Uh,
you fell into a
oh
depression?
man, yes. You still got family, you got friends that's reaching out that you used to support and help, and then your bank account is seeing all these minor signs, and then you
Mhm.
still want to have that macho or that I got it, I can help,
Because you've
and
built this
so yeah,
resilience. But
yeah,
now you've got to really use what you've built. Now you've got to
yeah.
really use these tools and skills to get yourself out of this place and really get back to the grind that you know as an individual. Although this is taken away from me, I still have to live. I still have a village I need to
Yeah.
take care of.
hmm
And so how did you get out of that depression? Did you go seek help? Was
Yes.
there a village that helped you? So tell the audience a little bit of how you got out of your depressive
Um,
state or how you got out of that dark place once you came home.
I had to understand where I was at. I had to accept reality.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess what was driving me, it was like maybe they might call, So I still had a leg still with hope
Yeah.
of getting back in the NFL. And my depressive mindset came from when that call never came.
Right.
And so I had to make myself aware that this is it. There's no more NFL.
How long did that take?
About 4 or 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And during that time, did you get help? Did you understand what was happening to you
Well,
mentally, or did
yeah.
you did?
Even though I was going to seek counsel, I
Mhm.
still had hope.
Yeah.
That okay, so I still worked out, still try to eat right, and then watching the NFL. I think the hardest part was watching other guys that I knew I was better than
Wow.
continue to get a job somewhere else and with major money, and I'm like, that dude suck. How he get a job? Like,
What did
and
that
I'm
do
here.
to
Oh
you?
my god! I for a long time I stopped watching the NFL
Wow.
because it was hard to watch a game and seeing guys out there that I know I'm better than, but that's the one they like.
Yeah.
And so
Because that's what you said before. It's not about your skill.
yeah,
It's who they like.
it's who they like. Yeah,
So now you're not liked.
yeah.
And so now you're back home. But now 4 or 5 years later, you've understood, okay, that door is not opening again.
Mhm.
What shifted your mind and going through counseling and seeking help? Tell us a little bit of how that may have shifted your way of thinking.
Um, she talked about what brings me joy.
Mhm.
And I love working with kids. Love it. Don't know why. It's a safe space for me. They appreciate my time.
Mhm.
They listen.
Mhm.
And so I talked about that a lot during my sessions.
Okay.
And she was like, "You light up when you talk about the kids." And so I do. I love being around them, And
Mhm.
she was like, "Maybe you need to consider that as a career." And so that's where I was like, I actually like going out and
Yeah.
So that was part of my recovery
Cool.
of being out there in front of those kids. And when I came home and I did my football camps and the whole community came out, I'm still that dude
Mhm.
to them kids.
Mhm.
Might not be to the NFL, but
That's
to
okay.
those kids,
Yeah.
I'm still that dude, and they appreciate my time that I give them. And so that's what helped me really launch the EO Foundation, because I was able to invite so many kids from many different backgrounds to just kind of hear my cry. And then, hey, if you got this dream, won't you come through the program?
Yeah.
We can kind of help you start working towards those goals. And so every time I got out there with those kids, it was just like another layer of therapy session that I'm improving. I'm getting out of that depression.
You speak to something of going to therapy. Many of us don't go to therapy. Many of us in our culture don't seek outside help when we're in this depressive state. Knowing that you are influencing young people, how can you speak to them about how important it is to go seek outside and help, whether it's therapy, whether it's talking to someone who can be a mentor, whether it's going into treatment, whatever that scenario, what was that for you? How was that? How can you teach our young people that sometimes you need something more than just
Well,
your village?
I knew I wasn't myself.
Mhm.
It got bad, like, not even showering.
Did you seek it, or did someone tell
No,
you to go seek
I
it?
did, because I know
That's
me.
good. Yeah.
It was like enough is enough.
Yeah.
It was funny because it was actually The Social Network. Watching that movie, The Social Network.
Mhm.
On there was about when Bill Gates came to the college and
Yeah.
talked to the students. He was like, at a lot of colleges invite kids to come to their program so they can get a good paying job. And it was like, here at Harvard, we try to teach you how to create a job and have those people work for you. So I'm like, so that kind of started. I'm like, yeah, this ain't me.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be on the other side of this.
That's
that
good.
I could hire and fire people, so that's when I'm like, okay, I need to go talk to somebody.
Okay.
And, back then, nobody talk about your problem. I can't call my teammate, like, man, I don't feel right, And so I never knew that was a sign of strength to make those type of phone calls. And I'm glad now that we can be open with our vulnerability of saying we need help, because being a football player, that's a sign of weakness. You don't talk about nothing.
Yeah.
Like, even if you have a little pain injury, you don't talk about that. The NFL, you keep being on the injury report sheet, they gonna release you.
They're releasing you.
Yeah. So it's like we're built to hold in so much. And then for me, I'm undrafted. So
yeah,
I took a lot.
Story.
Yeah, I'm hurt, but I didn't put my name on a lot of those injury reports because I didn't want that to be a reason why I got cut. So I used to take a lot of my injuries home, and that was a mistake that I made.
Do you talk to your colleagues, your other player friends, the other friends about being vulnerable, about having those hard conversations now that you have gone through that and now you see the need to have those conversations? Do you speak with your other network player friends or other individuals in your network about normalizing the conversation about talking about not being okay? Because many of us or many of you go to like the deepest part and won't have those conversations. Are you now opening up and having those conversations with other players?
All the time.
Yeah.
My brothers, I mean, we're glad that we're talking about these things. And it's very refreshing that once I started opening up about how I felt, I didn't know that one of my friends was in the same situation.
Right.
That was one thing that helped me, that I wasn't the only one feeling like this. And reached out to a former teammate. Like I said, when I stopped watching the game, I separated myself from everybody. And so
you went into full isolation.
Yeah.
Was that because that was a trigger for you?
I was embarrassed.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't the same person I was. So, my friends they want to go out and do this, what we used to do. And I'm like, I got to save my pennies. I can't go on these trips with y'all, so I kind of isolated myself. And then once I was bold enough to reach out to a former teammate, and he told me, I'm at the house waiting on the job. I'm like, you in the house? Like, you a first rounder. Like, so it's not just me, and I thought it was personal. I didn't understand it was a business that the NFL, how that operated.
Right.
And so that was one of another way that I was able to adapt and adjust with the decision that the NFL made, and for me to start coming out of that depression, because I thought it was just a personal attack on me.
Many of our young people think that, and so many of our young people have not built the resiliency in themselves to know that just because I get this no today doesn't mean I'll have a no for the rest of my life. And through your foundation, you are helping them to come out of that and sort of understand in life you'll win. In life, a lot of times you're going to lose. Like, it's not going to be, but what do you learn in those losses? And what do you take out of those losses to build your resiliency so that when that win happens, you appreciate it in a different sense? What is that conversation like with your young brothers who look at you and like, you made it, man. You made it out there. Like, what are those talks like with them?
Well, of course, like everybody, if you play professional ball, you're a millionaire.
Right.
So they were like, man, you got all this money. I'm like, bro, it ain't even. Now, yeah, you could probably say that. I think the league minimum now is over 700,000. So, it's totally different now than it was when I was growing up.
Right.
But yeah, when I was coming to, everybody thought, oh, you a millionaire. I was league minimum every year. I had to save my pennies. It used to be funny. When we used to go to the mall with my teammates, they shopping, getting everything off the center racks and all this. I'm over here in the clearance.
Side, right?
I'm over here in the clearance.
We're the same, right?
I'm over here in the clearance. But it was funny how I had to adjust and adapt. And so that's why I try to tell those kids, like, it ain't about what people think of you and what they expect. You got to live the way you live and what best fits for you. I like living comfortable now.
That's good.
And that's what I tell them. We got to try to make decisions so we'll be winners in life, but at the same time, we're not living a life just based off what other people want us to look like.
Right. This has been great, a great conversation. And so what are some of the habits or practices that you have that you want to leave with our audience today to help them understand that life is going to life, but you need to still keep living life so that you have the life that you want to live? What are some of the practices that you do that you would like to leave our audience with?
Control your own earth. The E stands for effort. The A stands control your attitude. The R stands for how you respond to people. The T stands for control your thoughts. And the H stands for your habits. You control 100% of those things.
Control your earth.
Yeah.
I'm going to need that played back for me so that I can put it on on the mirror. I need all of us to write that. That was really good. Say it one more time for us.
Control your earth, your effort, your attitude, how you respond, your thoughts, and your habits. You have 100% control of that.
EO, you have been amazing today. I think just with that, and now that we're in the holiday season, having that understanding and coming out of this holiday season, because during the holidays, we're all on this like ramped up happiness, right? And then after that, but many of us are in a depressive state because we're not in a happy place. Holidays aren't happy for everybody. And so having that understanding and controlling your earth gives them a different sense of how to be in this space when you're not feeling yourself or when you're having those challenging times. So thank you for joining us on the Silence the Shame podcast. We really, really appreciate you. Tell us how we can find you.
You can find me on social media platforms, Instagram, Evan Oglesby. You can follow us also, Evan EO Foundation _ on social media, EvanOglesbyFoundation.org. And I think we're on Twitter too, EO Foundation.
Thanks, E. This has been an amazing conversation. All of that will be in the description so our listeners know how to follow up with you or get in contact with you to help out with the foundation. Thank you so much. Again, you know who we are. We're Silence the Shame Podcast. We want you to take a time, free your feels, save a life, and silence the shame. Follow us on all platforms, Silence the Shame, but don't forget to text SILENCE to 707070 to donate to us. But we want you to do one more thing. Like, share, subscribe to this platform because we come with normalizing the conversation and ending the stigma around mental health. Once again, we would like to thank our funders, the NFLPA, for providing the opportunity to even speak to these players, to have this conversation. We really appreciate you, and shout out to y'all for always supporting Silence the Shame. See you next time.